So as I do every secular New Year, I have a list of those who are famous, who died in this past year, who influenced our lives from afar, occasionally up close, but mostly from afar. And I may have left off some of your favorites, but it's a pretty good, pretty long list. I'm going to start with the actors and actresses category because Betty White died today. Incredible actor. Also, Ed Asner, Cloris Leachman, and Gavin MacLeod all died this year, and they are connected by what show? Not Love Bug. Mary Tyler Moore. So Gavin is, of course, known as the Captain Stubing, but they were all in Mary Tyler Moore. The other four main characters had died in separate years, and then those four this year, which is really, I found really interesting. But Ted Neidner and Mary Tyler Moore and Valerie Harper and whoever plays Georgette had died in previous years. Cicely Tyson won an Emmy for, or an Academy Award for Sounder. Jessica Walter, Arrested Development. Sally Ann Howes, My Fair Lady, and Chitty Chitty Bang Bang. Olympia Dukakis. A couple of 80s babes, that's the only thing I could really call them. Marky Post and Tawny Katane, who was in the video with the car. Every guy my age knows that video. Okay, Ned Beatty, Hal Holbrook, Charles Grodin, Dean Stockwell, who my mom knew as a matinee idol, but I knew him from one of my very favorite shows of all time, which is Quantum Leap. I say Charles Grodin, Tommy Kirk from Old Yeller, and then a bunch of character actors who really were known for one, especially for one role, maybe more, but the ones I know them for. Dustin Diamond, Saved by the Bell. Eddie Mecca, anyone know who that is? Carmine the Big Ragu on Laverne and Shirley. Anyone know who James Michael Tyler is? Gunther on Friends, from the coffee shop. Anyone who, this one maybe more people know, Willie Garson, Sex and the City. Peter Scolari from Bosom Buddies. Christopher Plummer, Sound of Music. And another three weren't really actors, they sort of were actors, but they were, I would just call them more performers. That's Norm Macdonald, Saturday Night Live fame. Siegfried Fischbacher of Siegfried and Roy. And Jackie Mason. This year, yes. All right. Speaking of some other famous Jews, or infamous Jews in some cases, you have Bernie Madoff, Sheldon Adelson, the casino magnate, Shlomo Hillel, who you probably haven't heard of, but he was the one who led the Jews in Iraq, their escape from Iraq to get to Israel. Abraham Tversky, a Hasidic Jew, but who wrote, besides Jewish writings, all kinds of psychology writings, really quite famous outside of the Jewish world as well. A lot of commentators, the first of whom is Jewish, and news-ish people. Larry King, incredible interviewer, and oft-times husband. Willard Scott, weatherman. Rush Limbaugh, who didn't create but really popularized a genre of talk radio that is, in my opinion, I'll just get political for a second, not necessarily even in his particular politics, but just as really polarized. He contributed more to polarization of our society than just about anybody, I think. And maybe he doesn't get enough credit for that. G. Gordon Liddy, lawyer F. Lee Bailey, a lot of politicians. Carl Levin, a Jewish senator from Michigan. Harry Reid, Senate Majority Leader, Nevada Senator. Donald Rumsfeld, Department of Defense. A couple of presidential candidates who both did terribly in their elections, but both of whom seemed like menches anyway, and that's Walter Mondale and Bob Dole. Someone who was really, I guess he was a Republican, but someone who would just be hard to press to be as well known, and as successful as today as he was in his time. That's Colin Powell, who really went across parties and races and everything. He's an incredible man. Prince Philip and Bishop Desmond Tutu. Right, to the world of writers, books, and movies, Beverly Cleary, a great children's writer. Another great children's writer, but only known for one book, really, and he was Jewish, and apparently I learned just in researching this that a lot of the nonsense in this book was based on all the Yiddish that was spoken in his family, and that's Norton Juster, who wrote The Phantom Tollbooth, which so many of us read as children. Joan Didion, Bell Hooks, and in the film business, Joan Micklin Silver, who was the director of both Hester Street and Crossing Delancey, both about the Lower East Side, but very different eras and very different films, so really incredible. All right, let's get to the world of sports. Irv Cross, who was part of the NFL Today, along with Brent Musburger and Phyllis, I can't remember her last name, Phyllis George. They were a big threesome in my growing up in the NFL. And really one of the first studio hosts who was African-American, who was really quite an influential guy, doesn't get enough credit. Pedro Gomez, who was an ESPN reporter and did a lot on the Barry Bonds story. A couple of soccer players or footballers. Jimmy Greaves, the all-time leading scorer for Tottenham. Roger Hunt from Liverpool. Car racer Al Unser Sr. A couple of very famous boxers, Marvelous Marvin Hagler and Leon Spinks. Footballers, Demaryius Thomas, who was young, and Hall of Fame linebacker Sam Huff. Basketball player Elgin Baylor, Laker great. Baseballers. This one is the least famous of the three I'm going to mention, but he was big time. His name's J.R. Richard, James Rodney Richard. I know some of you remember him. Just like a 6'8" fastball throwing man. He just got injured and ruined his career, but he was the most intimidating, scariest pitcher of his era in the 80s. Hall of Famer Don Sutton, even though he's mostly a Dodger, and one of the greatest baseball players of all time, Henry Aaron. A lot of coaches. Bobby Bowden. Howard Schnellenberger won the first University of Miami national championship. Marty Schottenheimer, NFL successful coach for many teams. John Chaney, basketball, I think it's Temple, right? Is that the university? The great Tommy Lasorda, also of the Dodgers, and coach and one of the best color commentators of all time. But if you're Garrett's age, you know him for his game mostly, and that is John Madden. And I got to meet him at I tell this story a lot, at Al Davis's funeral, and he sat in the back against the wall there, right by that memorial board. He got there about 2 hours early, maybe an hour and a half. Rick, you remember probably, but you were ushering, I think, or no, you weren't. You couldn't make it. Okay, Sandy was there. Some of the past presidents were invited, and he was just doing this the whole time, holding court back there, just gesticulating wildly, greeting every single person that came in the room. He was exactly as you'd imagine him, and I still can see him sitting back there. All right, now from the world of music. So let's start with Stephen Sondheim, who is in some ways the most influential of this list this year. And I did sing Send in the Clowns the week he died at services. Flori Jagoda, I doubt any of you have heard of her, maybe? Exactly, Ocho Candelas or Candelicas, the writer of that, died this year. Jim Steinman, songwriter, who wrote big tunes, big ballads, including Total Eclipse of the Heart, It's All Coming Back to Me Now, the Celine Dion one, and Meatloaf, I Would Do Anything for Love. Just really big songs was his genre, and I'm sure many more. Phil Spector, a producer and convicted murderer. From the rap world, DMX, Drakeo the Ruler, and Biz Markie, who I was told today was apparently on a children's show, Yo Gabba Gabba, oddly enough. A lot of members of bands who weren't the frontmen necessarily for the bands. Dusty Hill from bassist for ZZ Top. Dee Dee Thomas from Kool and the Gang. Michael Nesmith from the Monkees, I did I'm a Believer. Les McCown for bass from the Bay City Rollers, and I couldn't do SATURDAY Night on Shabbat because, you know, it's Friday night, so we didn't honor him. Charlie Watts, the drummer of the Rolling Stones. Mary Wilson of the Supremes, we did Someday We'll Be Together. Chick Corea. Don Everly of the Everly Brothers. Did Bye Bye Love. I know some of these weren't necessarily good Shabbat songs, but we did them anyway. B.J. Thomas, we did Raindrops Keep Falling on My Head. Tom T. Hall, we did I Love. I'm blanking on her name and I forgot to write it down, but the person who originally recorded From a Distance, which was made Nancy Griffith, and that was a candidate for tonight as well. Ultimately not what I've chosen, but she had a big hit with From a Distance in Europe, but not here. And then, of course, Bette Midler had it here. And Jerry Marsden of Jerry and the Pacemakers. And the song you know from him is, if you know it, is Ferry Across the Mersey. But he also had a huge hit with You'll Never Walk Alone. And it's his version that became Liverpool's national anthem that we sang on air of Rosh Hashanah. And so that was one New Year, but I'm not doing it again for this New Year. What song will I do? We'll find out after the Kaddish. Okay. All right. Those who are in mourning or observing your site, sorry for a humorous introduction to the Kaddish, maybe not the best, but still. Anyway, page 61. Please join me if you wish. Yit Gadal v'Yit Kadash Shemei Rabbah.
Amen.
Yalmad Yivrach Yeruteh, Yamlich Malchuteh, V'chayechon v'Yomechon v'Chayechon Beit Yisrael, Bagalach Yizman Kariv Yimru. Amen. Yehesh Shmei Rabbah Nevorach, Le'olam L'Omeo Maya, Yitbarach, Yishtabach, Yitba'ar, Yitromam, Yitnaseh, Yitadar, Yitaleh, Yitalal, Shmei Kutsha, Karihu, Le'ela, Mikol Birchata v'Shirata, Tushbechata v'Nechemata, Tamiran Be'omah v'Yibru.
Amen.
Yehesh Lama Rabba Min Shemaya, V'chayim Aleinu V'al Kol Yisrael v'Yibru. Amen. Oseh Shalom B'Mamah, Hu Yaseh Shalom, Aleinu V'al Kol Yisrael v'Yibru. Amen. Zichronam Livracha, may the memory. Amen. Announcements. Services are tomorrow at 9:30. There is no Kiddush lunch. There will be no Kiddush lunch the following week either, but we hope and honestly expect to resume them unless everything is shut down the following week. But we will not have them for the next couple weeks. Schools start back up again next week, including Beit Sefer, including Gan, Avraham, all those things. And we're just going to do the best we can. All right. So, what song are we doing? What artist are we honoring? So I wanted to do one that I didn't do, and I forgot the week of Charlie Hall's death to honor him or the Rolling Stones. So tonight will be a Rolling Stones song. So I wanted to do You Can't Always Get What You Want because I know it the best. And I think of the scene in The Big Chill at the funeral. Anybody know that scene? It's quite a scene. But he does not play on that recording. He could not get the rhythm, apparently, and so he does not play it. I probably should have done As Tears Go By, which would be a really melancholy good one, but I didn't think of it. And so I'm doing instead Wild Horses. And it's got a great line, a final line, which is, let's do some living even after we die, which all the people we mentioned tonight will do. But it's not the last. We have two other songs after that tonight, and I'll explain them when we get there. If you want to sing along, of course, feel free to. childhood living is easy to do. Things that you wanted, bought them for you. Graceless lady, you know who I am. No, I can't let you slide through my hands. Wild horses couldn't drag me away. Wild horses couldn't drag me away. I watched you suffer a dull aching pain. Now you decided to show me the same. No sweeping exit or off stage lines could make me feel bitter or treat you unkind. Wild horses couldn't drag me away. Wild horses couldn't drag me away. I know I dreamed you a sin and a lie. I have my freedom, but I don't have much time. Faith has been broken, tears must be cried. Let's do some living, even after we die. Wild horses, you couldn't drag me away. Wild horses, we'll ride them someday. All right, so that's the first one. Rook D8. And I mean, it's a spiritual song, it just is. Now the next one, you're just indulging me, but I play this one every New Year's Eve wherever I am, whether it's a karaoke bar, at our own party, somebody else's party. It's it's just an indulging thing. And it is New Year's Eve tonight. It is Dan Fogelberg's Same Old Lang Syne, which of course takes place on Christmas Eve, but still it ends with Old Lang Syne. So I sometimes forget the words, even though I do it every year. But we'll do the best we can. I didn't print them out like I did for. my old lover in the grocery store. The snow was falling Christmas Eve. Stole behind her in the frozen foods, and she touched me on the sleeve. She didn't recognize the face at first, and her eyes blew open wide. She went to hug me and she spilled her purse, and she laughed until we cried. Took her groceries to the checkout stand. The food was totaled up and bagged. Stood there lost in our embarrassment as the conversation dragged. Said the years had been a friend to her, that her eyes were still as blue. In those eyes I wasn't sure if I saw doubt or gratitude. I think I got the wrong verse again, but let's see if I can get this one back. Sorry. Just talking about the bags. Went to have ourselves a drink or two. I mixed the verses. Couldn't find an open bar. We bought a six-pack at the liquor store, and we drank it in her car. Drank a toast to innocence, we drank a toast to now. Tried to reach beyond the emptiness, but neither one knew how. Said she'd married her an architect, kept her warm and safe and dry. She would have liked to say she loved the man, but she didn't like to lie. Said the years had been a friend to her, and that her eyes were still as blue. But in those eyes I wasn't sure if I saw doubt or gratitude. She said she saw me in the record stores, and that I must be doing well. I said the audience was heavenly, but the traveling was hell. We drank a toast to innocence, we drank a toast to now. Tried to reach beyond the emptiness, but neither one knew how. We drank a toast to innocence, we drank a toast to time. Reliving in our eloquence another old lang syne. The beer was empty and our tongues were tired, running out of things to say. She gave a kiss to me as I got out, and I watched her drive away. Just for a moment I was back at school, and felt that old familiar pain. And as I turned to make my way back home, the snow turned into rain. Should old acquaintance be forgot and never brought to mind? Should old acquaintance be forgot and days of old lang syne? For old lang syne, my dear, for old lang syne, we'll take a cup of kindness right. Baruch Tiyeh. And we will end with Hebrew to the request of the Sarber Shore family. So Jessica and Sally and Mom Queenie are watching all together in Southern California. Their request, similar, next year, Bashana Ba'a. Next year, may there be more of us in in-person gatherings. We won't count on it, but we can hope. Bashana Ba'a נשב במרפסת ונתפור ציפורים נודדות, יסתדרו ילדים בחופשה, ישחקו תופסת בין הבית לבין השדות. עוד תראה כמה טוב יהיה בשנה הבאה. טוב יהיה בשנה הבאה. Soon the day will arrive when we will be together and no longer will we live in fear. And the children will smile. We even seem to the one have their masks on. Without wondering whether on that day dark new clouds will appear. Wait and see what a world this could be if we share, if we care, you and me. Wait and see what a world this could be if we share, if we care, you and me. Oh tire, kama tov yeh bashana הבאה. עוד תראה כמה טוב יהיה בשנה הבאה. Shabbat Shalom.